Hello, I'm going on a morning ride here. It is a nice day. The sun is not yet up, but I am up, and I'm gonna take you with me if you keep listening. And I was just watching some TV. I was watching Fox News, and there was a doctor, a medical doctor, Dr. Siegel, who was talking about his book. He was talking about this book, which was about miracles or something like that, miracles in people, their lives, and it's just so characteristic of the current state of affairs here in the United States, where, of course, the Republicans are in power, and they're doing a heavy dose of virtue signaling on their Fox News station to broadcast that we should all believe in God and in miracles. But there is such a thing as science. And science says that no, there are no miracles. Come on now, cut it out already. If you are a medical person, you shouldn't be talking about God at all. Yeah? But no, Dr. Siegel and so many others, they are just muddying the waters, or whatever you want to call it, watering things down by trying to make it seem as if it's okay to just talk about religion and then at the same time be some sort of a medical authority on Fox News, where everybody then, of course, buys his book, and then we are all more appreciative of all these miracles, right? Which happen if we pray and if we, I don't know what it is, believe, and if we behave, because ultimately that's what it is all about. It is not about freedom. If we're talking about freedom, individual freedom, then we shouldn't be talking about religion. If we're talking about liberty, we're not talking about God. No, we should be talking about embodied language. We should be talking about languageology. Languageology, which is the science of our spoken communication, in which we as speakers listen to ourselves while we speak, like I do, and then you realize there is no inner language, and that means there is no belief even in an inner self, an ego, a soul, an inner deity. No, there's no inner deity and there's no outer deity. There is no superpower, there is no higher power, there's no deeper sense of self or whatever, your real true self. No, all of that is nonsense. There's only the way in which we speak. Yes. And unfortunately, because that's the conditioning of how we have lived as human beings, we have all been conditioned with disembodied language in which we do not listen to ourselves while we speak. And yet we have to discover for ourselves on our own, because nobody can do it for somebody else. We have to acknowledge for ourselves that there is a difference in how we are going to use our language if we explore what it is like to listen to ourselves. Now, you're going to do it. And someone like Dr. Siegel, he's not going to do it. And many people are just too stuck up with their religion, with their superstition, because your religion is always your superstition. And it should be said, I am a Republican. I'm all in favor of borders, language, culture in the sense that the culture that has resulted in individual freedom which allows us to step away from group behavior. Okay, religion is a group behavior, and we should have already abandoned religion a long time ago here in the United States with the freedom of speech. But with the freedom of speech has perpetuated our disembodied language. The freedom of speech has not brought about our embodied language. The freedom of speech, in my case it has, but for most people, they have no clue that embodied language exists, and that there is a difference between the way in which we deal with language when we listen to ourselves and when we do not listen to ourselves. When listening to others presumably is more important. And Making other people listen to you is more important than listening to yourself. That is what disembodied language is all about. Well, I talk very fast today because I am able to say it, because I've written about it, and it's all very crisp in my memory to be able to just say it like this. And yeah, this is the truth. This is scientific truth that I'm talking about, which I have explored on my own. Yeah, and yeah, you don't have to believe me, but I believe it, or I believe it, I live it, and I get the results of my embodied language. You are, whether you know it or not, are willing to admit it or not, or are able to talk about it or not, you have the consequences of your disembodied language, in which you do not even realize that you are not listening to yourself while you speak. Yeah. So whenever you have problems, psychological problems, which I don't have any psychological problems. Can you imagine that? Yeah. And yes, you could say I denounce having psychological problems. No, I don't have them. Because I know who I am. And when you know who you are, then you cannot have any psychological problems, because there is no inner language. Because all your so-called psychological problems is basically another way of saying that you believe in inner language. I don't believe in inner language. So that's how you deal with that. Realistically, that's how you deal with that. Scientifically, that's how you deal with that. Yeah, based on what we have come to know about human behavior. Yeah, yeah. I know that I know that I am belligerent. I know that I am a rascal, rebellious, or what they say, heterodox. Heterodox, that means the opposite of orthodox. And I am very unconventional. Yeah, of course, when you are an individual, you cannot be otherwise than unconventional, because everything is group behavior with disembodied language. Now, do you get it now? I'm going to stop it here, because I just want to enjoy the rest of my bicycle ride without talking. Yeah. Wait, I can let you listen to me or look at me without talking. How about that? You can hear the birds, the geese that are flying over here. There's a couple of geese that are flying over. Hold on, gotta put on my other glove. And maybe I will still say something, but not as intensely as I was when I just got started. Because when I just saw this doctor, I just go like, oh my God, this is just so, it's just so lame. That's what I call it. It's lame to hear this Dr. Siegel on Fox News talk about miracles. Give me a break. We're living in the age of AI, yeah, and AI. If AI makes anything clear to us, it is that all language is an overt phenomenon, and that our belief in covert language, yeah, our illusion of inner language, that it is completely false. And yes, you can read my conversations with Croc from XAI. Yeah, you can read that on my X account. And then, yeah, if you still doubt, yeah, if seeing is believing, then reading my work it should clear your mind, which you don't have, because it is just an illusion based on your assumption of inner language, which was never true to begin with. Okay, I was going to be quiet. Well, I said I was, but I just put on my gloves and now I am I put on my glove and my hands are warm again, and I can just keep going. I just needed some time to put on my gloves. So, yeah, I've written some really good stuff lately, and Croc has mirrored it back to me so well, and Croc could only do that. Yeah, this is so important to understand, that Croc is of course also just, it is AI, it's all technology. Good morning. And it's all based on overt language, yeah? And so there's nothing inside my computer, or there's also nothing inside a chunk of organic matter. Yeah, I am here, look at that. I'm a chunk of organic matter living, but nonetheless also just matter. Yeah. And so there's nothing inside of me that is different from the matter. And everything that we've always fantasized to be different from the matter is just false. It's just unnatural. Yeah, supernatural. Give me a break. No, it doesn't exist. And our science has over and over and over won against our superstition. Yeah, and if we've gotten any better at solving our problems, it was because we became more scientific about things. Now, this is the challenge that we're facing. We have to become scientific about our own behavior, and there's no other way to do that than to have embodied language. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I am scientific about it, and I do this all on my own. Yeah. I do this without anyone's approval, without anyone's. I don't need peer-reviewed articles. I don't even need to make money on this. Because I could, of course. There's in the Netherlands a lady who pretends to have taken over my work or something like that. And I'm sure that she'll give nice groups and that people have some sort of experience of some sort. But it doesn't really come to the real understanding that I'm talking about, unless they're going to read my work, unless they're going to talk with me eventually and hear that no, it's not about your spirituality. What I'm talking about is not about your meditation. It has nothing to do with that. And it also has nothing to do with improving your communication, because having better relationship. No, it has nothing to do with that. Yeah, because it is something totally freaking different from anything you've ever experienced. Yeah. So, are you ready for that? Yeah. That's what this is. Yeah. And I'm not deciding this. I'm not, contemplating this, or I'm not formulating this. No. This is just coming about totally by itself, because good morning. I'm riding my bicycle here, and I am in this environment in which I am able to say this, in which I'm able to express this based upon what I have learned so far, based on what I have gone through, based on what has happened to me, and there's nothing that is done by me, because there's no me inside of me that does anything. Yeah. So what you hear is just sounds. Yeah. Tonal. What is it? Tonal variety or something like that. They call that prosody, by the way. The sound of the human voice. Yeah. Okay. You hear me while you speak. You hear a sound. And there is a sound that relates to embodied language, and there's a sound that relates to disembodied language. And these two sounds are very different. As a matter of fact, in your disembodied language, you continuously, without realizing it, you've never acknowledged this, but you continuously disparage the sound that is your embodied language. You exclude that sound. You have no idea that there is a sound which is the sound of your embodied language. Yeah? And you have, it's the missing frequency. Yeah? So, when are you ever going to get to that? If you do not listen to yourself or speak with yourself in order to be able to hear, wow, you sound so negative, you sound so so complaining and so worried and so stressed morning. You sound so angry and so frustrated. Yeah, is that nice? No, it's not nice. It's terrible. You're suffering, you're conflicted, you're freaking out, you're dysregulated. Yeah? So, unless you just acknowledge that, unless you just say like, ugh, I'm sick and tired of that, how are you ever going to sound any different? You aren't. You cannot even get to the point that you say, okay, I've been there, I've done that, I don't want it. Now let's have some embodied language. Yeah. And I know what I'm talking about because I'm just like everybody else. Yeah. I know what it is. What people talk about every day, everywhere. Yeah. And I know Mr. Siegel sounds like a pretentious prick. Yeah, with his book, yeah, and his authority badge, yeah. You know, I mean, I don't give a shit about these people, yeah, and all kinds of people, official people, authority people, they set the stage for how we talk, right? People on the news, people in the media, people in politics, people that write books, that make podcasts, people that are professors, and people that are experts in their fields. But who is the expert on languageology? That's me. Yeah. And what is languageology as you compare it, let's say, to linguistics? Yeah, you can talk about linguistics, but linguistics doesn't talk about the difference between embodied language and disembodied language. As a matter of fact, linguistics cannot even capture the importance of this experience in which you have a clear understanding that of course there is a difference between when you listen to yourself while you speak and when you don't listen to yourself. Hello, pretty girl. When you don't listen to yourself while you speak, yeah? And so I just saw this pretty girl, she smiled at me and I just say, okay, well, I'll smile back to you. Anyways, that is, yeah, linguistics is obviously based on disembodied language, yeah? And so we're going to a lot of hair splitting about things that do not exist because disembodied language inadvertently keeps us busy with a non-existing mind with cognitions. There is no inner language. And yes, I talk about it every day, and I like to talk about it more and more because it pays off, because it is just so incredibly important. And so linguistics is outdated, is completely surpassed by languageology. Yeah. And yeah, languageology, by the way, it has its explanation in behaviorism, yeah, Skinnerian behaviorism, as I've explained before. Yeah, behaviorism, which of course is about operant conditioning. You should all look this up. You should study this yourself. I'm not here to do that for you, to explain it to you, but I know about these things and everything I do is in line with that. So that's all I know. And so yes, at a certain moment, behaviorism was also not fitting in. Yeah, it was obvious that behaviorism was completely ignored in academia, and a bunch of behaviorists decided, no, we cannot accept this situation. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for a scientist to still talk religious bullshit. Yeah, it's just unacceptable. Yeah, and that's exactly what this Dr. Siegel do. It is nothing personal to this Dr. Siegel, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's many people like him who are otherwise presumably scientific, but when it comes to our own behavior, they are just hopelessly unscientific, and they probably never will be scientific. Yeah. In any case, sorry, there's some big truck just getting started here. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about behaviorism, which at some point there were a bunch of behaviorists who said, no, we need to have a science of human behavior which is firmly established as a natural science. And that natural science, yeah, all based on written language, of course, yeah, became behaviorology. Yeah, behaviorology. You should look it up. It exists. Yeah, and it's totally legit. It's totally valuable. It's totally necessary to know about that. There is a natural science of human behavior, behaviorology, which came out of behaviorism and which just basically claimed, okay, there's physics, there is biology, there is chemistry, and now there is the science of human behavior, behaviorology, period. And whether we accept it or not, yeah, because there's always been some sort of a, watering down of science, yeah, because there's always a trade-off between the culture, the superstitious culture, and science, and there's always been a battle between, yeah, religious overtones, spiritual overtones, political overtones, superstitious overtones, and what we actually really know. And science has always been at odds with all of that. Yeah. However, and here comes my important point, behaviorology is, of course, and behaviorism also is a subset of embodied language, is a subset of languageology, which is based on ongoing embodied language, where we as speakers deal with our language correctly. Yes, correctly, because listening to ourselves while we speak is the correct way of using language. And not listening to ourselves while we speak is the incorrect, superstitious way of using our language, which is based on group behavior and which is based on the fact that you cannot be yourself. No, you have to conform to the group. And this is why, yeah, just to fit into academia, behaviorism has never quite established itself, and neither has behaviorology. Yeah. And so that could only occur if we would all begin to acknowledge that there is such a thing as behaviorology. Yeah, behaviorology. There's a guy who is always running, and I say hi to him. So yeah, behaviorology is the all-encompassing missing link, yeah, and because this has been going on forever, yeah, human beings have forever been engaging in what I call disembodied language. This group behavior has been going on until this very day, in spite of the fact that we have individual freedoms, in spite of the fact that we have freedom of speech. I happen to be the one who discovered this difference, who began to describe it correctly, who began to link all the science to it, and now we have behaviorology. It's a fact, yeah? The wheel doesn't need to be reinvented, and yeah, the laws of behavior, which were already defined, yeah, these are called principles of reinforcement. Yeah, I forget what it's called, the exact name, sorry about that. But Skinner has, of course, defined a lot of things really very wonderfully, which we can still use. And then behaviorology has even further, you could say, defined things, more articulate actually, because when we are talking about, yeah, you may not want to get this, or you may not, maybe you believe that this is all just me ranting, but no, it's not. Because when we talk about a stimulus, a response, and a consequence of that response, yeah, we're talking about language. And we're talking about language, which is of course neurally behaved. So yeah, my body, yeah, you see me riding my bicycle here, right? I'm riding my bicycle while I'm saying all this. Now, and my body, my brain is doing what it does while I'm talking like this. So I'm neurally behaving this language. Do you get it? Yeah. And there's nothing else. There's no internal language connected to that. There's only overt language connected to that. Yeah. And so, but ultimately, therefore, we neurally behave the environment. We neurally behave our reality. There's no way around this. And the only way in which we're ever going to understand that, understand meaning, of course, describe it correctly, is when we have embodied language and begin to actually put it all together like I'm doing right now. Yeah. Anyway, that is all part of our language enlightenment, which is then determined by our ongoing embodied language. Yeah, in the absence of disembodied language, because I stay away from that. I have no business with it. To me, it's useless. Disembodied language, just like religion is useless. Yeah. So on that note, that's a beautiful end of this. Yeah, I'm standing on this bridge here, overlooking this dry creek right now. Yeah. Hopefully in a little while it will fill up again with water, because we really need the rain. And on that note, I say goodbye to you for now. Bye.